Welcome to the Human Collab podcast, where we bring you stories of people from various walks of life. In today's podcast, I speak with Chinmay Nayak. From a near death experience at 19 to facing challenges in his entrepreneurial journey, he has been through a roller coaster ride, from a stable job to unsteady entrepreneurship to heading sales for a startup. In this honest and heartfelt conversation, Chinmay shares the value of rebuilding relationships with his family and having open conversations. Join us as we dive deep into his journey and learn from his experience. Let's hear from the man himself, Chinmay.
Help me by, sharing a little bit about your early days with me.
Okay. Firstly, thank you for taking some interest in my life. Also to get to know me or giving me an opportunity to share my journey. So I'm born in Karkala, Udupi, brought up in Dahanu. So early days, like most of my childhood, I've spent in Dahanu. I went to Saint Mary's High School in Dahanu, which at that point of time was only, I think, English medium school, sort of convent school that we had in Dahanu. And I grew up in a family where I had I was the youngest in my entire family tree, where my dad is the youngest among his siblings, and I was the youngest when I took birth. For around 9 years, then I had my brother. So my usual family setup was my parents, my grandmother, who was the person I loved the most for most of my life. She loved me a lot as well, and I loved her as well. We had a very, very, very special bond. I used to call her Dodoma. And then I had my little brother walk into my life when I was, I think, 9 years old. I was extremely excited. So my basically the early days of my life were I was extremely outgoing kid. I used to love to play a lot. I was extremely naughty as a young kid. I used to always be. You'll find me being beaten up by my mom for breaking one thing or the other, or getting into some or the other mess in the society. So that's how I grew up. Firstly, as a kid, there were certain things within me. Like I grew up in a very religious household, so I used to pray a lot every day, even till date. My parents, practice a lot of pujas and bhajans and everything. But at that point of time, one thing while staying in Dahanu, I did my 10th standard till in Dahanu. Until then, I had no clarity of what I want to do in my life. Like usually people know okay, they want to be an engineer or a doctor, yeah, what stream to get. I was extremely carefree at that. But a good thing is, in my childhood, I have, from my fifth standard, I used to do a lot of part-time gigs. Like fifth standard, I used to write accounts and sit in a medical shop. So that exposure allowed me to understand that okay, what are the different streams one can have. Because of those, like summer vacation and Diwali vacation. Diwali vacation used to be a month. Summer used to be almost two. So I used to earn like 1,500 to 2,000 rupees. It went up to almost 3,000 rupees till the time I reached my 10th standard, and that allowed me to sort of fine tune that I am interested in a career in being a chartered accountant, or something that related to talking to people. So when the time came after 10th standard that I had to choose a stream, I was extremely inclined towards choosing commerce as a career. But what happened was, at that particular point of time, my father did not want me to get into commerce, because he said that we wanted somebody in our family to be a doctor. And my dad was the figure in the house that I was extremely scared of. When he said something, I thought that okay, he's demanding sort of something from me, let's follow it. And I went for science. That's how I actually ended up taking science. In science, I did not know what to do. I did not want to be a doctor. I was very clear about it. I did not want to study that hard. But after taking science, I was like, "Ki chalo, I can at least do engineering." Now, I did not know what sort of engineering streams existed. And to be very honest, 11th, 12th, I was least bothered about it. Honestly, I did not know that I was extremely ambitious. I was, I only knew that I want to do something to earn some good money. That's it. But then, when one of my friends came in and he started talking about a lot of things like IIT, BITS, and all those things. And then I came to know that there's a lot of things that I'm not aware of. So that is when I made my first trip with my friends to Mumbai. Virar to we came to Vasai to explore some classes because at that point of time they had announced from Maharashtra CET, and that's when I realized that I'm extremely behind in my life. I do not know what's living in a city because I still have a memory of coming to Mumbai and feeling completely out of place in terms of fashion, in terms of my knowledge, in terms of what to talk, how to talk. The way Mumbai runs at a different pace, and I'd never been used to. I had come to Mumbai, but only when with my parents, and I was not used to the pace that happens in Mumbai. And that's when I decided. That was the first decision actually I took in my life that I want to study in Mumbai only. I went back. And I told my mom was the first person who heard me say that okay, whatever come what may, whatever I'll do in my life, I'll only do it in Mumbai. Then came my CET. I scored decent marks, but it was not enough to get into any good college in the first round. So my parents were trying to tell me to go to Nasik or some interiors for some education. And I was not very keen on going and pursuing education there. So I had made up my mind or started dreaming everything about Mumbai. So I came to Jai Hind. I took admission in Jai Hind, uh, and I started dreaming about getting into an engineering college because a lot of my friends were going into engineering college. And by then I had realized that if I only do a BCom or BSc, I don't know where my career would go. That was a frame of mind I had. So I kept trying everywhere for engineering, and some way VJTI happened. Okay, because there were seats available. I did not even know what textile technology means, but I took admission into it because somebody said VJTI is a good college and you'll get good exposure, and that set of words were enough for me to take a decision, and that's how I came to VJTI. Now, when I came to VJTI, I was not the happiest because I felt कि यार क्या ही कर लूँगा textile लेकर. But I was very happy that चलो जो भी it is in the heart of Mumbai. I'm away from my family, and I was extremely excited. And coming to VJTI, so when I came to VJTI, I realized that I'm still out of place because so in VJTI is a amalgamation of a lot of brilliant kids. We had kids come from all over Maharashtra who were absolutely brilliant, extremely high IQ, very intelligent, and I felt that okay, I don't know anything. The initial first few days were a little difficult for me to get equipped to. The only advantage I had is because I stayed a little close to Mumbai. I knew a little bit more about Mumbai than a lot of other hostel kids who had come from outskirts of Maharashtra. Okay, so I that was my only winning point, and the other was sports. I was extremely active. I love to play football, volleyball, all those. Because in my school days as well, I've had an affinity towards volleyball. So, but we did not play a lot of volleyball as college. We used to play football and basketball in college. So at that particular point of time, I was like the person who knows how to order food on phone, how to talk to people nearby, or walk them through to let's say Dadar station, Kolaba market, or fashion street, or all those people. But I was so happy leaving my house in Dahanu that I felt like I'm out of a jail, sort of, because I was being the youngest in my family, a lot of pressure used to be on me. So I used to feel sara pressure khatam ho gaya and I'm just happy being here. To an extent that the first semester I attracted a lot of KTs as well. And then obviously I cleared it in the second semester. But at that point of time, I had a extremely high inferiority complex because I used to feel that I don't fit in. I had that I used to feel less at the same point of time, and I used to feel what can I do to gain a little bit of attention. But I had very good friends who used to give me certain feedbacks and do a lot of things. So that's how basically my first year went. By the time I moved from the first year to second year, I was extremely happy in my second year because I had cleared all my KTs and I found that I had sort of found my feeling. I had a very good set of friends. I was everything good was sort of happening in my life. My family space was getting better, and
You were in your fifth standard, who is, you also said, doing accounts. How did anybody trust you with that kind of a job? And how did you even find that part-time gig?
so firstly, it was my dad's friend who introduced me. I was horrible at it. The only task I had to do in accounts was to fill in a ledger. So those days where internet was yet not, computers were yet not very prominent. I used to work in a wine shop distributor, not wine shop, you can say an alcohol distributor company. So they had a lot of bars and all where they used to sell, different types of liquor. In the ledger, I had to write, let's say, for example, if it is Ganesh Bhuvan is the name of the hotel, Ganesh Bhuvan, 25 boxes. This is the price, this is the bill number, and this is the total outstanding. So like this, that was my task for every day. So every day sales, I used to fill in the ledger, and then using a calculator, I had to tally everything, every payment credit and every debit bill at the end of the month. And irrespective of what I do, and then I used to sit with the guy who knew computers, who was a chartered accountant, who used to do all these entries into Tally. Okay, Tally is a accounting software, so they used to do it. So initially they just made me sit कि हाँ ये कोई आके इनके friend का बेटा है तो इसलिए ये आया है. But then when I started doing it regularly, they liked me, so they had given me a small desk, and I was asked to come to office at 9 o'clock. And by 9 to 12, I used to go to the office. I used to finish writing the ledger, and then whatever was pending, I used to do between 2 to 5. So like that, I used to spend around 5 to 6 hours there. And that's how I used to learn a lot. I although I was very very young, I was very good learner. So anything they used to tell me, I used to learn and understand very quickly. Like if they tell me that this bill has to be written in this way, they did not have to tell me again. So they were also very excited, having me around because I used to do a lot of other things as well, help them count cash. That's how I learned how to count cash. They taught me once or twice, and then they used to just ask me to verify. So by the time I finished my 2 months, I was very good at counting cash, counting money. Yeah. So that's how that was the first gig that I had. Now they only had a medical shop, and I was very interested in going and sitting there. So I asked them that can I sit there? So they asked me, why do you want to sit in a medical shop? Because you don't even know how to give up medicine and all. So I told them that I like interacting with people. So at least if you give me, I might not know where it is once or twice, but once I'm able to understand something, once somebody guides me what to bring from where to bring, I'll get it. And I was very good with identifying. I would not like if you pronounce the medicine in a way, because in a medical shop the products were kept alphabet wise. Like P had a drawer with all medicines starting with P. M had a drawer with all medicines starting with M. So the guy used to tell me, "ये M वाले drawer में मिलेगा. This is how it is called. Let's say it's called Pan 40, or it's called, let's say, Zantac or something." I would go, I would find, and for me it was like a treasure hunt. And I used to be extremely happy that okay, I served the customer. And there used to be some customers who would come for generic products like sanitary pads, or let's say Pampers, diapers, or stuff like that, or those Cerelac kind of stuff. And I was very excited to serve them, calculate how much they owe, take that 500 rupees note and give them difference. So for me, that was fun. That's how I got working there. Correct.
You mentioned that you met with an accident.
So at age of 19, I met with the accident. So what happened was I had completed my third semester at. So I had come home because my dad had just met with the accident and he had broken his collarbone. And at that point of time, we had a shop in Vangaon. So I had to help him for at least a week or so till the time I can go back to college. And that's how I came home. Now, when I came home one fine day, because his shop was in Vangaon. Earlier, I used to only take him around by bike. But he said every day coming from Dahanu to Vangaon by bike is not advisable. You start coming by train. So that one afternoon, 29 December 2006, I fell asleep, uh, after watching TV for an hour. And after that, immediately, suddenly I woke up and I saw that, oh, I'm late, and the train is there in just 5 minutes. It was a 2:30 p.m. train, and it was almost 2:24 or 2:20 sort of something on the watch. So I immediately ran out of the house, took my bike, parked it in the station, and when I reached the platform, I could see that the train was already standing. Now I was so afraid of my dad. Like I said, I felt that if I don't reach there, not only will he be upset, I thought I'll disappoint him. So I'm like, chuck whatever is there. I ran towards the train. I didn't even ask what train it is. I jumped from the wrong side and I tried boarding onto the train. Now I was doing this completely from the wrong side because the train used to be from platform number 2, and I jumped from platform number 1, crossed the rails, and from the wrong side I tried to climb it. Now, when I did, at that point of time, there were a couple of people sitting on the side of the door. They didn't even react to me trying to climb. And I'm like, please get aside, allow me to get in, allow me to get in. And they were extremely unresponsive. So I thought probably they don't know Marathi or Hindi that I know. So I tried speaking in Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi, every possible language. They didn't move. Now, at this point of that time, the train just jerked. Now that moment I was so afraid of it because although I had traveled a lot in train, I never liked to hang around because I was always afraid I might fall down. So what I did is, I could see some space in between where they were sitting. So I tried putting my feet, between them. But when I put my weight on my right foot, my entire body slipped down on the tracks. Now I had enough presence of mind that okay, I'm in a wrong position, and I could see the train had just started to jerk. So I knew that it was not moving in a way that that something would have happened, but I was almost on the tracks. So immediately I turned, like I fell initially on my back when I slipped. So what I did is I immediately turned on my stomach. I knew that right foot would be coming first towards the wheel. So I immediately pulled out my leg and sort of leaped on the other side. Now by the time I did, I was happy because okay, I was attentive. I took care of my right foot. I jumped, but in the process, I forgot that I was late with my left foot. And at that point of time, a part of train sort of went through, some of my toes, and my rubber chappals just came and fell right in front of me, and I knew something had happened. But I was not confident at all to look at the feet. It was not paining at that point instantly, because probably it was a very extreme impact on my foot. So I somehow tried, I closed my eyes, I somehow tried to stand on my right foot, and I tried to climb the platform. Now, when I climbed the platform, there was a lady selling chicos. She saw my foot and screamed so loudly, and she sort of fainted. And that's when I looked at my foot and I realized that my foot had completely torn itself. I could only see bones and flesh hanging around, and then I'm like, oh my god, what did I do? But still, at that point of time, the pain had not just started, but the bleeding and everything was visible to everybody. So I started doing limping around and tried to reach to the nearest auto stand. And because it was afternoon, the floor was, a lot of people actually did not want me in their autos, because blood was pouring out. And suddenly, and I tried asking, I tried sitting in one. He said, "Nahi baithne ka, nahi baithne ka." Then one old guy, came in. He's like, "Ki beta idhar baitho, chalo." And I sat inside, and I in my mind it is like, okay, yeah, मैंने क्या कर दिया? I did a fracture. What is my dad going to say? And he took along. I think he took me to a hospital which was almost 800 meters away from the station. And at that point of time, there were two hospitals which passed, and I'm screaming at him that, why are you not taking me here? Why are you not taking me there? And the pain, I had started feeling the pain. It was immense. The When you understand the post impact pain was I still feel the pain when I think about it. So then I reached the hospital. The reason why he did not take me to the earlier hospitals, because all those hospitals were on the first floor, and he was like, there's no lift. How will you climb? There is one hospital that's on the ground floor. Let's go there. So we went to this Mehta hospital, and when we went there, immediately first thing I told the people, when they saw my foot, they immediately made me sit on a stretcher. I said, I need water. I need to drink water. I cannot think. So they gave me a big bottle of water. I just gulped it. And on my way to the operation theater, where they had to do at least some dressing or something, they were like, I was like, how will I tell my dad? And I was extremely afraid to tell my mom about it. So I had a very simple phone at that point of time. I called my dad, and I just said that, Dad, you know what, I'm I won't be able to come at this point of time. You please shut the shop, and whenever you find time, you come. I have fallen down and I am a little hurt, but I can wait. Now, by the time I told this, the nurse poured betadine and hydrogen peroxide on my foot, and I could, the pain sort of hit its peak, where I could feel the entire foot. And I did not want to shout in front of my dad, so I sort of chewed my hand, trying to not scream in front of him. But by that time, the auto guy heard everything what I was telling to my dad. He picked up the phone and he sort of told him that this is what has happened. Now I was extremely afraid that, oh my god, if dad will come to know, what will my mom do? She will start crying and all these things. And that's how the accident happened. So the first person to visit me again was my mom. And when my mom came, my foot was dressed, but she had not known how severe it was. So when she came, I just said that, come what may, please don't cry. Because I knew my mom, she would cry at anything. And like a brave woman, she stopped crying. And 1 hour I was, I think every possible person I knew in my life came to meet me in the hospital, trying to see what had happened. Now, the thing was, nobody had seen my foot by then. So they all, when they came and they saw that, they felt, ha, kuch to hua hai, kuch to hua hai, kuch to hua hai. Then the doctor came, then my dad came. We went through the operation theater immediately, and when they opened the wound again, the doctor surprised my dad, saying that we have to cut his entire ankle off. And that's when I got the shock of my life. I said, what? I said, yes, because it's a train wound, you'll get gangrene and it will develop worse. So the better part of it is that immediately, cut it off so that nothing will happen. Now, I felt cold then and there itself. So my dad, because he's born and brought up in Dahanu, he knew a doctor called Dr. Shenoy, and he who was a expert orthopedician. So my dad said, "Ki, can you wait for 10 minutes? Dr. Shenoy's clinic is nearby. I'll just get him here." They said okay. So they immediately called. Dr. Shenoy came in like 15 minutes. And the moment he saw everything, he saw my foot and everything, he said, what Dr. Mehta is saying is correct. However, if you take him to Mumbai, there's an opportunity that his foot can be saved. And then my heart started beating very fast, because now I felt that, now for the first, till that time, when I was fallen down, I felt ki, acha, kuch to bhi hua hai, fracture type. Now it was like, okay, will I be able to walk properly or not? That was the first thought in my mind. So then we came out of the theater. We had, it took us, I think, 2.5 hours to reach from Dahanu to Borivali. When we reached Borivali, Dr. Jayesh Gala was my doctor who actually treated on my foot. He saw me, and I think by the time I reached Borivali, it was extremely late. And I was told that please don't feed him anything, because the moment he comes in, we'll operate on him. So I did not have water after my incident in that hospital. When I came to the hospital and I drank water, and I had reached, I think, Borivali by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Now by that time, the pain had escalated to a level that I was actually hallucinating in the pain, where I used to feel that there's some big animal who has sort of eaten my leg, and I'm not able to pull out of it. We reached Swarna Hospital. I went to the operation theater. They opened my foot, and the first thing the doctor said, "Ki nahi yaar, I won't be able to operate because it's extreme. It's a very big operation." And then I had to come out, and they scheduled the operation for next day morning in that same pain. By that time, the pain had escalated to a level that I could not even imagine. I could not have water, food, anything post that accident. And by that time, I could not even, have decent thoughts. I was just extremely angry and extremely in pain. And next morning, when the operation happened, obviously they sort of stitched my foot in the first operation, tried to see what's working, what's not working, how is it, and what part of the foot can be saved. That they wanted to identify. So after the first operation is when I came out and I could have proper food and everything. That's when I started actually trying to understand what has happened, because in those 24 hours my entire life had sort of changed, and I did not know what to expect, how many days I'll be in the hospital and so on. So it followed by around good 45 days of me being bedridden. At that point of time, I was extremely angry with God to begin with, because I have grown up in a family, like I said, a religious family, believing in God, listening to all sort of mythological stories. But one thing that I had convinced myself as a kid is, if I do everything good, nothing bad will happen. And that belief was broken. That belief was broken because my mom was very confident of that belief, that if you do all good, only good happens to you. And I started questioning her the first, that you told me that if I do all good, everything good, what bad I've done to deserve this? And she had no answer. And at that point of time, nobody had any answer for that matter. For me, it was like I had sort of gone extremely angry with God or whatever happened. A lot of my patients who used in those 45 days with whom I used to share the room actually taught me a lot. Most of them were people who were on dialysis, At least 3 to 4 patients who I used to share the room with actually did not survive, those 45 days. At that age, you don't have any perspective. The only perspective is कि यार मेरा सब सही होना चाहिए, मैं लाइफ में कहीं सेट हो जाऊं, because when you come from a family where there's a pressure built on you that you are the one who's going to pull us out of it. We are not wealthy, we need to be wealthy, you're the ones who can do it. So at that point of the perspective is कि यार everything good should happen, because it was not the rosiest of childhood. So, and when you feel, like I said, in my first year I felt I'm like in a very good space. उसके बाद immediately जब ये होता है, तो then there's no you don't know how to justify this. You don't know why you are in that mess, or why do you feel the way you feel. So I initially, by the time I was in hospital, I had given up all the faith in God, until one fine day, one person who passed away, he taught me something. He said, Chinmay, if you feel that whatever has happened to you is the worst that could happen, just imagine that if you would have not had that attentiveness to jump on the other track, you might have lost both your feet. And that's when I realized that, okay, at times, कितना बुरा हुआ is also कि अच्छा ठीक है, good कि इतना ही बुरा हुआ. Okay, like to things to the extent of what it can go wrong did not go wrong. It went only to an extent that was sort of bearable, is what I kept telling myself, and that's how I sort of lived in those early 45 days. Now 45 days later, when I was asked to put my foot down, I realized I could not walk at all. And that was another experience to begin. I was extremely emotional at that point of time. I had a sort of a breakdown with my, in front of my parents. Like, I sort of confessed that I don't know how will I be able to take care of you guys, give you a good life. I don't know kya hoga. And so on. Then I came home. When I came home, I had a lot of aunts come to my house. Aunts, as in relatives, come to my house, and they looked at me with so much pity. Most of them I did not like at all. but when they looked at me with that pity, the first thing in my life I realized is I don't want this pity for me ever. I don't want anybody to look at me, with so much of, in actually in Marathi there's a word ki, which actually fits the description, that I don't want anybody to look at me with that feeling of ki कि इसका क्या होगा. And that's when I took the second biggest decision of my life, after the one being coming to Mumbai, that I want to go to college, back to college. Just throw me in the hostel, I'll manage. I had crutches by then. I could not walk on the crutches as well, but I needed somebody constantly next to me. But I said, just put me there, I'll manage with my friends. And that's how I came back to college. After coming back to college, I realized I was way back compared to my colleagues, where I wanted.
When were you back in the college?
After 45 to 50 days, like 29 December 2006 was when I got hit, and I think second or third week of February, around 20th of February.
Within 2 months, you got back to the college.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I was back to the college. We were staying in the same hostel, but I realized that for me to walk from the college to my hostel to my college room, office, school classroom, was around 45 minutes. And that's when I realized that, my God, there's so much to do. My teachers were very kind. They asked me to, they said, we will take care of your attendance. Only attend when you feel like attending, and whenever you feel like going, just go. Somehow I was extremely unhappy that entire semester, because I myself was looking at me, I was not able to accept sort of completely what had happened with me. And I was constantly thinking, how can I come out of it? What can I do to come out of it? By then, my dad's business had also shut down, so we were going through some financial crunches as well. So I was even more angrier. what's happening. And at that point of time, for a brief moment, for few days, I had that mentality कि सब गलत मेरे साथ ही हो रहा है. So then we had exactly outside my room, we had a long jump pit, which had a lot
Okay.
of sand in it. And that's when I took another important decision that I'll start walking on, one crutch. I'll start practicing on the other. Like I'll drop one crutch because I felt that till the time I'm on, I'm like this on crutches, it will be difficult for me to, get back or speed up my progress. Mentally, I won't be where I need to. I used to drop one crutch and start balancing myself on the other crutch completely. It was extremely painful because in between my leg used to bleed. I had to go to a hospital for dressing. A lot of things used to happen in between. But it took me around 3 months, which is March, April, and May. In the month of May, I could leave one crutch. Like from two crutches, I could come down to one crutch. Then June, July, and August. By August, I think I could drop both the crutches, and I could walk without any issue. Like just before the rains had hit, sort of, I could manage walking on my own. Although I was extremely afraid of walking in public space because I used to feel that somebody stamps on my foot, I'll bleed. But I mentally started teaching me, and by by August, I think I was able to walk on both my feet without any crutches. Now here, a very important role was played by my volleyball coach. I used to feel that now coming back in life is going to be very difficult. Like I used to feel this is what I used to feel.
What's
So
his name?
uh, we used to know him as Venu. He used to
Okay.
be a government employee and he had represented India as well at some point of time. But that's all I remember about him. So he
Okay.
just said, "Ki Chinmay, I'll tell you how you can start at least playing again without putting a lot of pressure on your foot. But two, you have to take care of yourself. Nobody's going to know when the pain will hit the maximum. You'll need to draw those boundaries."
How many months after the accident are we talking about you getting back on your 2 feet and your coach telling you that you can think about playing again?
So me getting back on my feet was in August. So if I say 29 December was the day of the accident, so 8 months later, let's say I
Okay.
got on both my feet. And him telling me was somewhere during September that now that you feel that you have started to walk at least on both your feet, why
Mhm.
don't you start practicing and we'll see, what can you do or how much you can play or how well you can play. We'll see. We'll try to fit you in something. And
Mhm.
that's how I started playing again. Obviously, I could not be a part of the team initially, but I at least started practicing jumping. And I realized that while jumping, I could only jump back on one feet. While I could not run a lot, only a little I could run because if I used to practice extensively for a day, the next day my foot used to bleed. All those things used to happen. So I should be very careful in doing whatever I can do. But I had started to do enough to like I used to love playing football as well by the way. But I knew I could not play football like a running person, but I was a very good goalkeeper. So I resumed being a very good goalkeeper again for my college. So those things sort of allowed me to get some sort of identity back. And then that same year, in the second year, like in the following semester, which is the next December, the college tournament we won. We won the gold medal where I was a part of a team. We played all the games, and when we won, my rector was extremely happy because he had seen me on both the crutches. And that's when I actually felt कि नहीं यार, I have sort of recovered from what what I had gone through. Because it was for me a mental moral week. Nahi yaar, now I can, because I was till then I was constantly afraid, will I get placements? Will anybody hire me? Who would want me? I would think that people will only think of me as a liability. That was the state of mind I was in, and when I won it, I sort of assured myself that the ability within me is not gone. It is just a temporary setback, and I can do good here. So that's how the accident thing happened. But the good thing which happened post that was I started studying really well. So until my fourth semester, I was just a 5 point someone in college. But my fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, all these semesters, I was like a topper. Like fifth and sixth semester, I was almost 7 point someone, and my seventh semester I was 9 point. Both the years I was 9 point someone. I top sort of in my final year. We had an award which was introduced for my batch, like something called as a student of the year for textile department, and I was the first recipient of it. And when I actually won the award, that's when I realized that this manifestation of whatever all these things work. Because when I had joined VJTI, I had sort of a dream, when I leave, and because when I was struggling through these phases, of accepting myself, that I used to find everybody else better than me. So I used to tell कि by the time I leave this batch, मुझे ऐसा कोई award मिलना चाहिए that allows me to stand out. And I didn't know that such an award never existed, but for textile department, that particular award came into existence by the alumni. Fortunately, for the 2009 batch, I was that student where I had the job. I was a topper as well as extremely good in sports. I had done a lot of extracurricular activities. So somewhere I felt that although the accident tried to curb me down, but because of the accident, I pushed my limits so much that I ended up doing that.
How did your parents react to the entire situation of you wanting to drop the crutches, get on your own? Were they aware of this entire situation, or how was it like where you lived to where you studied? Both are the outskirts of the city, but in the diagonally opposite directions. Did they knew what you were up to?
No, no, they were not. So again, they for them it was important that I don't harm myself, that I don't take any decision that will put me into trouble. So my mom and dad both come from a very conservative approach. Ki don't do anything that that is considered to be risky. So the thing is, in all the decisions that I took from playing to everything, I did not inform anything to them about it because I knew they will have their sort of explanations. However, after things would that whatever happened, I would always inform them that I played. I stopped using one crutch. Like the first crutch I dropped out is I had come for a vacation, for my summer vacation from hostel. And while going back, I purposely left one crutch home and I came to the train. And then I got a call that, "Arey, you forgot your one crutch." I said, "No, I didn't forget. I purposely kept it." I should not tell them because I knew, and they were like, "No, no, no, we'll send it." I said, "Don't send it. It's okay. I've taken a decision. I'm dropping that crutch." So majority of the decisions I took the decisions because I knew if I go and talk to them or have a word with them, I did not know how would they react or what will happen. But my dad had always this feeling that he used to tell me as well, and even my mom, they knew that I had as in they used to tell, I used to not believe, they used to tell me that you have a extremely good willpower. When you decide something, you'll do it. So I had those words always in the back of my mind that okay, if I'm deciding, I'll be able to make it. I'll do it. So hence, I would not be afraid. If I want to take a decision, I used to be definitely cautious. Like I used to challenge myself. Like for example, how I learned that I can drop a crutch was every day while going to the bathroom, I needed to be extremely careful because it was a common toilet and all. But there, I used to start. That was a 50 meters where I started walking with one crutch. So I used to take those baby steps. So every major step I took a lot of baby steps to lead to that step. So I did not take any decision कि हाँ चलो आज ही हो. It was nothing ad hoc. It was everything I used to plan little by little, stretching myself and then taking it forward.
Chinmay, who passed out of the engineering college with a
Yes.
campus placement. How was the journey from there?
So firstly, I was a little stubborn. I got placed in September 2008, which was a year before we passed out. And that was a year of recession. A lot of my seniors who had got jobs were not even called back because that was a year of recession. And the stubbornness that I showed is I told I could have got into an IT profile, but I said, nah, I'll go into textiles because a lot of people, a lot of seniors had said textile because scope nahi. And I had that mentality कि I'll prove them. If somebody tells me कि ये नहीं हो सकता, I am somebody who likes to say कि नहीं यार मैं I'll show how to do it. And वो अभी भी है थोड़ा लाइफ में, but ठीक है वो उस समय बहुत ज्यादा था. So I took textiles. I got a job in Welspun. When I joined the job, when the first salary came, which was 12,254 rupees, I'm like, यार इससे क्या होगा? I still remember.
And what were you doing at Welspun?
So I was into marketing, sales and marketing itself, like a merchandising profile.
Okay.
Merchandising is a profile where so Welspun had towels, bed sheets, bath rugs, top of beds, all these products. And my job was to, and they had customers like Target, Walmart, Kohl's, the big department stores of US. So my job was to ensure that everything, all their orders are executed smoothly. If they wanted samples, give samples and everything. Now, one thing I recognized I had in work is the day I joined, I realized, and they told me कि तुम्हारा काम इतना ही है. I was like, I used to sit with every person and ask them, what is needed for me to become a CEO? CEO बनने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? या जनरल मैनेजर बनने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? या head of ये डिपार्टमेंट बनने के लिए क्या करना? So they used to laugh at me, but they used to tell कि इसकी तरह बन, ये अच्छा है, ये सबसे बेस्ट आदमी है, वो सबसे बेस्ट आदमी है. And I used to go. I had a mentor. His name was Uttam Nivalkar, who had actually been inspirational in hiring me. And he hired me because he saw me sell one poster and take 25,000 rupees from Welspun. So he's like, यार ऐसा बंदा चाहिए जो एक पोस्टर से 25,000 रुपए कंपनी से निकाल सके. So I used to go and tell him, ki, sir, how do you know this person? How has this person? And he was like a veteran in Welspun. He had spent more than 15 years in that organization. So he used to tell that person's journey. कि चिन्मय वो बहुत मेहनत करता था, out of the way जाता था, innovative था, वो hard work करता था, ये करता था. And I used to get extremely inspired that I'll do all of this. So my fundamentals, I developed something in life at that age in my corporate life, which I try to even practice today, which is that if somebody asks you to do X, always deliver X plus 1. Always deliver that one extra bit, because that is what you bring to the table. Because that X is something that person has already, is expected from. But when you deliver that plus 1 is something that blows his mind off or puts, adds your value onto the table. That was my fundamental, which I decided that this is how I'll work from the first. So what I started doing is, apart from my work, I started, if I used to even get a half an hour break, I used to go to my boss and say, sir, मुझे कुछ ऐसा काम दो जो आपको बहुत डिफिकल्ट लग रहा हो, कि आपको लग रहा है कि यार ये मैं कर नहीं सकता. So he used to give me crazy stuff कि यार मेरे को ना US का मैपिंग नहीं करने हो रहा है. I used to say, okay, I don't know how to map कि competitor कैसा है, क्या है. Within a month or two, I made that competitor mapping. So he used to also encourage me or like my scope of work. I used to go to him pick up the one of the most difficult aspects of his work and start addressing. So within 2 years, I had become the center of his communication. That anything he wanted to do, it would be me involved in every project, and that allowed me to grow very fast. So from 12,000 rupees to 43,000 rupees a month, I moved in like 2.5 years. Every challenge they had, I went out of the way to solve it. If at all because I was a textile engineer, he wanted me to understand how to develop products, like ये नया टॉवल बनाना है या ये टॉवल को कैसे अपने लूम पे और एफिशिएंसी से बनाना है, जा फैक्ट्री जा और देख ले. So I used to sit with the product development team and I used to do. So I was an excellent employee, a dream employee anybody. So they even nominated me for Young Achiever of the Year awards and all those things. So it was fantastic. I loved working there. But because 3 years into the job, I started feeling what more, what beyond this? Because I used to feel that the work, although I was getting paid and all, I was not content with 40,000. I was always thinking beyond that because I knew इतना पैसा कमाना है, घर खरीदना है, सेटल होना है, कैसे होगा, इतनी सैलरी से तो नहीं होगा, कुछ तो और करना होगा. And so my personal life was zero at that point of time. I would not spend, like my family did not know where was I from 2009 to 2012. And most of the time I was only in office. I had no bad habits as such, and I had a couple of friends in office जिनके साथ भी Saturday Sunday also I used to spend with them itself. So I was so into whatever I did कि उसके अलावा मैंने कुछ और सोचा ही नहीं. बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे टू सी कि इतना सब कुछ कर रहा हूँ मैं, साला 40,000 रुपए पर मंथ, ये वर्थ इट. So then I started thinking कि और क्या कर सकते हैं, and I started, can I do something parallelly along with my job, like a business or something that can give me some extra income. And that thought actually drew me. So first to think about it, can I do something extra apart from this? I wanted to come out of my job. So I switched to something called as Donier Industries Limited, where they were ready to pay me 55,000 rupees, and I was like, ये अच्छा salary है to begin with. But वहाँ पे the work was such कि 6 बजे काम खत्म हो गया. Welspun में I used to, there were, in a week, I used to work at least 4 to 5 days for almost 10 to 12 hours a day. And the office was in Lower Parel. I used to stay in Andheri, so plus commute and everything. So at that point of time, I realized that when I am going to be working in Donier, life is going to be easy. मेरे पास time होगा. So either I will pursue an MBA, executive MBA, or I will do something for my extra income. So that's how the entrepreneurial journey started. I got an opportunity where somebody told me कि as you can sell ये luxury products है जो बहुत difficulty से बिकते हैं, and while you sell you can create more distributors and sell it further to get more money and sort of stuff. So that's how I ventured into entrepreneurship. So initially I tried selling luxury watches, I tried selling vacation packages and everything, and I could sell. And that's where I made money, because by just selling one package I made like 40,000 rupees. So I used to be very excited कि साल में महीने में 2 पैकेज भी बेचूंगा तो 50-60 हजार तो मैं ऐसे कमाऊंगा. And that's what actually promoted me to. So 2 years I actually kind of did it along with my job, 13 and 14. And by 2014 I had sort of generated decent income, more than my job. Now at that point of time I took a decision which today I question. I have no regrets, but I question that I asked my parents to come to Mumbai in 2013. Right? You come down and you stay with me, because all these years from 2005 to 13 I was staying alone. So I was like, I always had this. I had always used to promise my mom that I'll bring you to Mumbai. So I brought. I asked. I took a 2 BHK. I used to earn only 50,000 rupees in salary and 40,000 extra. But I used to pay a rent of almost 30,000. We took up a 2 BHK in Andheri, and I brought my parents here. And that's when my mom came to know that, okay, I'm doing something else as well. And she was not very confident, because both my parents were like कि तेरे कुंडली में लिखा है तू ये नहीं कर सकता. And when somebody again tells me कि तेरे इसमें लिखा है, I was like कि नहीं अब तो मैं करूँगा. So then that's how the business took over forefront without telling them I quit my job. I told them that I had planned and I had saved enough for 7 months, 7 to 8 months in a way that I had decided that even if things do not work out, I'll go back to doing my job in 6 to 7 months. And I quit my job. Now, when I quit my job, things actually started worsening. But the positive attitude that I used to have, the other, even if something is not working, fight for it, it actually ended up being over optimistic. So I started, stretching myself in every possible way, trying to stretch. I used to earn decent money, but obviously it was not consistent. So because of this, I started having a lot of quarrels with my mom because she felt that if I would continue doing the job, I would do much better. And I wanted to think कि नहीं यार, I think if I keep staying with my parents, नहीं होगा. In 2016, I took a decision that I'll just go and do my business from Pune. Because Pune, here in Mumbai, I used to pay almost 30,000 rupees. Pune, I can pay 13,000 to 14,000 rupees rent and I can survive and I don't have to, sort of answer my parents. And that was a decision that I feel today, kind of was a trigger or was that point which I could have re-verified myself. But I took that call. I went to Pune. I started drifting apart from my parents. But I used to do business well. I had my own good because when you are doing good, you definitely attract a lot of friends. Not necessarily everybody are your friends, but definitely you have a lot of people around you. So I had that. I used to travel multiple countries. I used to travel business class. All those things. I sort of was chasing to be a person who would like somebody that people would look in terms of wow, like that wannabe personalities. That is what I used to chase back then. And while doing all of this, then from Pune, I moved to Bangalore for 6 8 months. Then I moved to Delhi. When I moved to Delhi, I was very deep into the business, but my income streams had started slowing down, and I had given a lot of money to my colleagues who were partnering with me at that point of time in business, and to an extent that that if they do not return the money, I would be in a lot of mess. And that is exactly what happened when I was in Delhi, where they refused to give me the money. I ended up in a lot of debt. I was completely broken, from within that. Today, I don't even have, I don't even talk to my parents. I don't know how things will improve. I don't have even a single penny to survive well because all my savings had gone down. Business, I was not able to sell. The quality that I admired myself the most, I was not able to do it. And 2018 was sort of one of the worst years of my life, sort of the lowest points of my life, where I was not able to understand that why I failed, or I was not able to accept the fact that I failed. I was trying to battle that how is it that I can reach this point, because I've always been good. I'm never afraid to do hard work. My principle that if somebody is asking X, always deliver X plus one. What is it that is not working for me? And I was not able to find any reason. And this was even that time when I was the farthest from God. Like my relationship, my spiritual relationship, or my belief in whoever I believed in was the farthest. I did not know what to do, how to do it. And that's when my parents surprised me. So one fine day they just dropped down to Delhi, and they just paid a visit. They reached Gurgaon, and they called me that we are in Gurgaon. Where are you? And I'm like, where are you in Gurgaon? I thought they were bluffing, and they said, "No, we are outside this hotel." I got them home. I did not know they were going to come, and I cried. That was one of the first times I said, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm in a mess and I don't know how to come out. Now, my mom being my mom, my relationship with her was strained to that extent that she's like, because you're friends with him, because you're friends with that, this happened, that happened. She went into that zone, but my dad could see what I was going through and he said, no worries. No, you decide now also is the time you get back into a job, we'll figure something. I was not ready to get into a job because I felt that nay, I'll pull it off. But they pushed me hard that okay, since you can do your business from anywhere, you come back home. At least you don't have to pay this. And I was not very confident to go back home and do business from there because I used to feel that if I go there, my old memories of them, asking me or questioning me in every aspect will come from every angle and I won't be able to answer them or understand them or whatever. So I said, "Nee, I'll not come home, but I'm happy that you guys came." And post that, I really started connecting back with my parents again. 2019, I was still doing a business, but one of my friends had moved to Palava, Dombivli, and he said, "Tu aaja idhar se kaam karne." So I moved here. I moved to Mumbai, back to Mumbai in 2019. And that's when I actually, while selling a product to somebody, I sold it to someone who was a software head. And he told me, Chinmay, see, this was just around COVID that, I want somebody like you who's expert in sales because there are certain products we sell जो हमको लग रहा है कि बंद ही करना चाहिए, but अगर तू रहेगा तो मुझे लग रहा है कि we can work. And that's how I got back to job. But the struggle was when I was offered the job back, I was offered the job back at a salary of 40,000 rupees, which was not what I had in mind. I had a big bonus compartment, but that bonus was applicable after like 8 months or 9 months or something like that. And I knew that it was extremely unfair for that person to do that. But that was a breakthrough window that I got. And I realized कि चलो as and when तो कभी ना कभी ठीक करना है तो I'll go back to. And but it was very difficult because while I was going back to a job, I was constantly having that failure mindset in my mind that I failed. And when I failed, because of the my colleagues deceiving me, the amount of debt on my head was huge. I had to settle down. I had to get married. What will I do? How will I do? I had no clue. And the first few weeks, I was giving my more than 100% in my job, but I was not able to sleep because I used to constantly wonder कि यार ये 40,000 से तो क्या ही होगा. And in between this COVID आ गया, so it became even intense. But I kept my promise कि नहीं यार, I had decided last time मैंने ये किया, this time also I will do it. So after working for 6-7 months, they did not pay me my salaries, a few months of salaries and bonuses that I got them, and they sort of left me stranded. And the person who had referred me, he moved to some other company, so I did not get anything for whatever effort I put in, and I was even depressed. But the good thing at that point of time was I was doing a lot of freelance gigs. During COVID days, whoever was struggling at that point of time to sell, I was trying to help them sell their products in a digital way. And because of which I used to have a decent flow of income. Then COVID was definitely a tough time for my dad as well in terms of income and all. But I could see that my parents were not happy living in Dahanu. So that's when I took another decision. And this time when I took a decision, I was very firm about it that I will call my parents and I'll rebuild everything. So I called them back to, Palava. They were not willing to come because they felt कि वापस पहले बोरीवली जैसे होगा तो क्या होगा. I said, नहीं, you come. This time it will be better. And fortunately, within that time, the moment they came, I got 5 to 6 job offers. But again, I took the one into SAP itself, because that is the profile I knew which will put me on the map. Again, the same thing happened. I got a very less job to begin with, less salary to begin with, but I persisted. I delivered more than what they could think of. Then they paid me a decent amount in bonus. Then late 2021, Israel team OneBeat reached out to me, and one person sort of followed my work, who's a global sales. He said that I've seen you sell this, I've seen you sell that, so I want to know from you. So he took me through 5 rounds of interview, and that's when he gave me OneBeat. Now, the day I joined OneBeat, that very day, like my first day was 15th of Feb, by the way, and 15th of Feb, my India head at that point of time said, I'm quitting India, and I don't know if they will quit the Indian business or not, but it's a very difficult product to sell, or hum nahi bech sakte. And it should have been a setback, but I took it as a challenge. And the global sales from Israel, he's like, we are evaluating him still. Say, and I told him on the call, I just asked him, can you trust me for 5 months? 6 months. He said yes. I said, just trust me for 6 months, and I'll make this market work for me. The kind of meetings I could arrange and the kind of collaborations I did allowed Rui and the global sales to trust me a lot. And he said, we feel that we'll not hire anybody above you now. You are the one who are going to build this market, and we trust. Gave me a lot of backing, and today we touched 1 million ARR sort of business. For OneBeat, we are at a very good position, and we hope it goes ahead, and so on. That's my journey in this. In between this, in the back end, I spent a lot of time trying to reconstruct my relationships with my parents in the last 3 years, where we started having more open conversations, understanding what we want, how much we want. Because this time when I was correcting things, I did not want to only correct myself financially or in terms of my position. I wanted to correct a lot of things, from the back end as well. So today, we are in a much healthier space as such. The relationship is much better. Like whenever all of us are home, we are smiling, laughing, or enjoying something. Touch wood, all of us, me, my brother, my dad, all of us are earning well. So financially, we are much better than we ever used to be. And in terms of state of mind, everybody is in a much better state of mind than what we used to be during the period that was very, very difficult.
What are the lessons that your experiences has taught and you carry with you?
So first is, I always believe that no matter what stage of life you are in, always give more than you take. Like that X, if no matter where you are, if somebody is demanding X from you, always give X plus one. Like even if when I had absolute no money and my friend had asked me to stay with him, I used to ensure that I would do, that's when I actually learned a lot to cook. I used to pay his house bills. I used to try to pay his maid. I used to, bring groceries, help in any way possible. And that's something that we can do in every possible phase of life. Because I feel that is where, you keep stretching yourself and good things start coming. No matter what stage you are in life, always give more than you take. That's the first lesson which I feel has helped me a lot. The second is resilience. A lot of times, like I told, that when I got a job of 40,000 and I was not able to sleep well, I used to cry alone. I used to not let my mom know, dad know, my brother know that I'm extremely unhappy. I used to cry to figure out, to build that acceptance that nahi yaar, kal better hoga. Like I used to literally take one day at a time. Like no matter what I go through in the day, I would be so strong. I would be executing everything. And when I used to feel that extreme vulnerability, I used to go down to my room and just cry it out. And for that, something I think Happy helped me a lot. When I bought her home, I was somehow just taking care of myself and my family. So to get a dog, because even she's a pet, I always ensured that she had the best food, the best kind of comfort, the best kind of care possible, and it was not affordable at that point of time. But for me, at that point of time, for me, like my brother could, my dad could, but for me, for every curd rice that Happy had, the kind of gratitude she had, the kind of she's a pet. For her, the only ambition is to survive and live well. That live where she's not damaged or there's nothing happening to her, and she gets food at the time. That's her. As a pet, that's her. That's how animals are. But in that, despite having just that basic necessities, the compassion that she had, the love that she had, whenever I used to cry alone, I don't know how she would come to know. She would slip into my room. I used to sleep on the floor. I used to love sleeping on the floor. She would come and sleep in my bed. And that is where I started, telling myself each in my one day at a time, one day at a time. And that even today, if I'm in some difficult situation, I look at it as one day at a time. Because you cannot control. Even if you know that this is not what you deserve, you're insecure or you're afraid of what is going to happen tomorrow. The only thing that you have in your hand is and how you live that today. Because people are going to come and question you for why this happened to you. Like I'll give you an example as to why I'm saying one day at a time. When I was facing this failure, I had a lot of guilt within me that for a lot of decisions I took. Like, why did I trust somebody more than required? Why did I pay somebody more than required? Why did I took decisions more than required? So first is you have your own guilt to deal with. Then you have people around you, like at times, parents, people who used to look up to, like aunts or uncles or whoever, who will come and say, "यार तूने ना ये करना नहीं चाहिए." Like there was a time when I was looking for better jobs. A lot of people started, "अरे तूने ना उस समय जॉब ही नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए, तूने क्यों छोड़ा यार, तेरे को अक्ल नहीं थी." And I used to think, how will I answer it? It's something that is going to come. You cannot do anything. You have to just listen, control your emotions, and ensure that नहीं यार ठीक है, I go beyond it, because it's very difficult to think positive or think ahead when you have such kind of criticism constantly going around. So the only thing that I had was that I should live by the day. And I used to journal certain papers. So what I still have this habit. Like yesterday, I was manifesting, like I told you. But apart from that, when there is a heavy emotional moment that I go through, I take a pen, paper, and I write down. I just scribble everything, every emotion, every moment that I'm thinking. I just scribble 5 pages, 4 pages, 6 pages, whatever I can think of. I remove those pages, I fold it, and I just keep it in a pouch. I have some, not a lot, but 50, 60 pages like that written. Some of them are gratitude pages, some of them are what am I just going through. Because what I've realized is when you write down, you come to know who you are. And I realize that, deep inside, I'm a very positive person, and I always have a lot of faith. कि नहीं यार सब सही हो जाएगा if I keep going. So when I keep writing, let's say I start by writing that I'm not happy today, this happened, that happened, but I eventually end up writing that I know things will be better tomorrow. I will come back, things will make more sense. I will grow up. My relationships will be stronger. I will meet better people tomorrow. I used to write that language, so I came to know that's the only way out. Give more than you take and live one day at a time when you're at the most difficult phase.
When you look back, which part of this journey are you most proud of?
The one I am proud of both how I recovered my foot and I started walking back or playing back again as well. And I'm even actually a little more proud of when I was going through a this entrepreneurship journey, because I'll tell you why. When I had my accident, I was innocent, and at that point of time, I had a lot of help around. But when I, failed in my entrepreneurial journey, at that point of time, I had my parents around, had my family around me only to a certain extent. Rest, nobody was sort of around me, or nobody was willing to be with me at that point of time. It was like the 2018 point was my absolute lowest. I did not know what to do. I used to wake up without knowing what will I do today or how will I manage today. And it was so low that when I decided to even कि okay ठीक है चल मैंने ये किया नहीं हुआ and I wanted to come back. Majority of people, rather than trying to see how they could help me or what opportunity they could give me, they all made reminded me of कि तूने तो डिसीजन लिया था, तो अब क्या हो गया, अब तू क्या करेगा, 7 साल से तूने यू हैवंट 6 years से तूने यू हैवंट ट्राइड अ जॉब, 5 years यू हैवंट वर्क फॉर समवन, अब कैसे करेगा, क्या होगा, तू करेगा क्या. दे हैड सॉर्ट ऑफ इवन लॉस्ट ट्रस्ट इन, and that was very difficult. So I'm proud of that phase, that despite that now here, like I said, I was in a lot of debt, but in the last 2 years I have reached out to every person and I have given back their money and I have earned back their respect as well. I remember one person literally hugged me saying that I never thought that people return the money itne time baad. You have given me each and every penny interest ke saath. Like I don't know what to tell you. So because these were people who had sort of taunted me a lot when I was not able to pay them back. But when I had money, when I started doing well, I ensured I did it. So I feel I'm more proud about my failure on the entrepreneur journey, that how I could deal with it mentally, how I could accept my guilt, how I could forgive myself first, and forgive everybody else without having any regrets. So I feel the latter part was much more important for me, and I feel the first journey was actually that prepared me for this. Is what I types. I remember you only telling me na ki, when you go through such, your response to certain things improve. So I think वैसे ही हुआ हो.
What is it that you look forward to in life?
The first thing is definitely I want to ensure that the stability right now that I have, it keeps growing to a level. So I go with numbers. Okay, so I have my financial targets at every age. Like I know कि in the next 4 years मेरे को कितना पैसा मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में, I'm very clear about it. कि इतना पैसा तो मेरे अकाउंट में चाहिए. It's not more. So I know कि today if I'm living in India, so like when I started working again, I realized that पहले मेरा ambition था millionaire, billionaire and all those things. But when you go through a failure, at times you start doubting कि चाहिए, do we need that much of money to survive it? And then firstly I figured out कि इंडिया में अगर मेरे को survive करना है तो मेरे हिसाब से one should have minimum 50 lakhs का income. Then your basics are taken care of, you have decent money, you have a surplus as well, and you can live a good life. You can eat whatever you want, you can work out, you can have time. हाँ, थोड़ा job में अगर होगा तो you might not have control over how you spend your time, but हाँ, 50 lakhs a year. So my first goal was to reach that income. So now I have an income target in mind. So that's one. I want to get that. It is the other income target that I have to build that level of security for me. Second, I want to be, I know I can be, I'll be a great father. I don't know how, but I know. So I want to build a very good family, because all these years, the kind of one thing that I feel which I want to live in is I want to live in a very, very good environment, of family. So like today, the one that I built in my house right now, it's so late. I want to have whatever experiences that I had. I want to sort of pass it on to my, to the next generation. Like I don't know if it's logical or not, but I kind of feel like, to become a very good father, to become a personality that, my kids, my family looks up to. Wherein when it comes to, like, for example, I recently read a book by Devdutt Patnaik on dharma, artha, moksha and kam, what they express, and there I fell in love with the word, how important it is to be beautiful in this world. So I feel that my duty, responsibility first begins for my family and then spreads across. So I want to be someone who can give more to my family, because I know if with all these failures, if I'm even able to make $1 million, they can definitely make a billion. Losing these failures and what do you say, stepping up on it, they can fly even higher. So that is something sort of I look up to in life, to sort of build a family. We feel कि शादी होती है तो परिवार बन जाता है, but I feel a family is built. It's a constant work in progress, because the times are changing. Every person is going to have some of the other ambition. Every person is going to have some of the other virtues and vices. How do you deal with them? How do you understand them? How you uh, help them become the best version of themselves? And in return, you take care of yourself enough to become the best version of yourself. So I look up to building that, environment. That's the smallest thing I can do. Like, I cannot change the country, but I can change the 3-4 people living in my house together by being the best version of myself and inspiring them to become the best version of themselves. So that's I think what I look up to.
That's again one of the most beautiful thoughts that one can look up to. On that note, is there somebody that you look up to who has been your inspiration?
So my mom used to, whoever she used to look up to, she would make him or her like the god figure. कि ये भगवान जैसा है, ये कुछ गलत कर ही नहीं सकता. And I used to be the same as a kid, that if I like somebody, then I would not, whatever they would say, even if I would dislike or something, for me it would be like, ये gold है, ये सोना है, इससे ज्यादा अच्छा और कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Now what happened is, when I in my entrepreneurial journey and everything, I realized that at the end of the day, every person is a human, and nobody should be looked upon as God, because when you see that person, because when you read about, let's say, Bill Gates or for anybody, you feel, oh my God, what good. But when you go and observe the life closely, you will see certain flaws that do not allow you to look at the same person in that same light. Whereas, so what I learned doing is, in the later part of my life, is I started having role models that I look up to in every segment. Like, for example, Virat Kohli. Okay, if I say Virat Kohli that I look up to his cricketing journey. I look up to how he has built himself as a cricketer, from what he was in 2010 to what he is now in 2020. Not only about the fame, but the way he has worked on his game, his fitness, that effort. Second, if I look up to football, I admire Cristiano Ronaldo a lot. Why? Not because he's made a lot of money or he looks the way he looks or whatever, but the way I have seen Cristiano Ronaldo do debut for Manchester United, because I'm a big football fan. So I have seen his journey from debut to becoming the class player, where they worked on fitness. So I get inspired by people who work and elevate themselves in their class. Now it can be somebody that who might have a lot of things that people don't like, but I like to, like I said, I focus on one aspect and I'm only inspired by that aspect. That's it, not beyond it. So hence, what I do is, instead of finding one person to look up to, I pick up a lot of people and capture a part of their journey that I can look up to, which I can use. Like, In the film industry, I'm a huge fan of how Shah Rukh Khan is or how Irfan Khan was. Okay, I'm a huge fan of their journeys. Okay, of how they evolved to become the class actor. Certain movies that inspire me, certain characters in certain movies inspire me. I say inspiring. There's if one personality that's extremely inspiring or something for me, that is actually Ram. Okay, it's more of a. I don't think Ram was a mythological figure. I feel it's history. But I recently read Ami Ganatara's version of Ramayana, which talks more about what's written of the Valmiki version, and there she shares that how Valmiki has shared that when Sita got abducted or when he came to Vanvas, although there is one side of it that the world knows that he held his dharma at every difficult point of time as well, but there are his vulnerabilities which he showcases to Lakshman as well, and that's what I absolutely love. That I want to be vulnerable to the people that I love, but I want to uphold uh, the duty in the best possible. So if at all I want to be someone, it's like that. Like he only loved one woman all his life, despite going through whatever it is. It I can relate to his character because today it's very easy for us to question that. Okay, इस age में why were certain decisions taken for कि लोगों के कहने की वजह से एक decision क्यों लिया गया. But from where I see it, it's a time that is which we do not even relate to that what would have been the scenario. It is just that we look at that story in today's time and then we say कि ये गलत हुआ या ये सही हुआ. But considering that frame of mind, that point of time where even Vanars existed, it was extremely fascinating of what Ram could have done or what his persona actually defy is depicted, like how when the worst is, like I told you that जब accident हुआ जो भी हुआ मुझे गुस्सा आया, but when on the day before his coronation when he was asked to leave, he didn't show any emotion. He was like, okay, it seems logical, पता नहीं ठीक है, if I want to go I'll do it. So ऐसे बनना बहुत difficult है. So that's something I really look up to. I really admire Ram in a lot of ways.
What are your interests and hobbies? How do you spend your time off work?
Mm. So one of the interests I have is I love to play sports. So these days, at least one hour a day, I'm either in the gym or swimming or working out or doing some other activity. Today was a day off, but I try to do it 4 to 5 days a week consciously, and I enjoy doing it. But genuinely, I love sports. I love football. Football is something that I follow very, very passionately. I still follow the English Premier League or what's happening in the Spanish Premier League. I follow if Euro is coming up or World Cup is coming up. Cricket, cricket is another sport that I follow with IPL coming. I enjoy sports. I have all possible type of sports, from tennis to basketball to this. Every game I enjoy. And I don't only enjoy just knowing about it, I also enjoy playing it. So usually these days I do not get an opportunity to play, but I definitely spend some time playing on the PlayStation or something related to sports. Apart from that, I love to read a lot. Usually I'm always reading something or the other. So that, but apart from that, I keep reading a lot of articles. Like recently, I've been reading how the because there are elections coming up. I want to be a very good a voter who will look at all sides and then vote. So I'm trying to see how every side of the story is politically as well. So I keep reading basically. That's one of my very good hobbies. Most of the time I'm reading or I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to an opinion. And apart from that, I love cooking. I feel cooking is something that allows me to experiment a lot with food, understanding how people respond to different kinds of tastes when they are fed different kinds of food. So yeah, so that these are the food, sports, and when I'm saying food, not only cook food but also consume different types of food. So I love eating food as well. So food, sports, and reading and podcasts.
What is one advice that you would like to give to someone who's going through a similar situation in life?
Whatever you're dealing with, there has to be he or she has to split his day into two parts. One, the difficult part of it, where the dealing part of it, be it the guilt, be it the criticism, should be looked upon as one day at a time, and the work that they are doing to get out of it should be looked upon as, what can I do that 1 additional percent? Can I give more than I take? And that's the only thing. If a person sticks to for even 6 months, he or she will have a wonderful coming to it. Is what I feel. This is what I.
Chinmay, thank you for taking the time and being a part of this podcast, sharing such valuable insights from your life with us. Looking at your story, I realized that life is not always about following a linear path. It's more like a jungle gym full of twists and turns and ups and downs and unexpected detours. It's beyond the sleek resumes. These challenges and setbacks should not be seen as failures, but rather as opportunities to learn and grow. This journey is what makes life exciting and unpredictable. And it's essential to remember that success is not just about having a perfect resume, it's about overcoming obstacles and having resilience and having the courage to keep moving forward. If you found this episode impactful, we encourage you to subscribe to the Human Collab. Leave a review and share this episode with your friends and family. We are eager to hear your learnings. You can connect with us on Instagram or send us an email. Together, let's continue to cultivate hope, exchange stories, and foster a community where strength and compassion thrive.